safety reasons, since everyone is new here and we want to protect you. Zoom bombers try to get in, and the above eliminates them. You'll notice this is a step workshop and not a speakers or discussion meeting. It's like a class, AA 101, AA University. It's a very unique meeting since we have used the same principles AA used between 1932 and 1939. Everybody works in the group and moves through the 12 steps to live our lives free from alcohol and learn a new way of living. Glad you could make it. Announcements. AA in this meeting is supported by our own contributions to Seventh Traditions. You can make donations to @Jann-Scott in Venmo. Contributions go to pay for Zoom, and we make monthly donations to Boulder 1AA and Boulder County AA. We spend about $250 a month. This group meets daily with the following formats. Monday, step meeting, 12 and 12, me Monday. Tuesdays, big book, t-shirt Tuesday, AA Inspires Preferred. Wednesday, as Bill sees it, Sunglass Wednesday. Thursdays, beginners, steps 1, 2, or 3, or any beginner-related topic, and it's Dog Thursday. Fridays, open, the chair picks the topic, and it's Cat Friday. Saturday, Living Sober, Virtual Background Day. And Sunday, Daily Reflections, Fashion Sunday. Please join me in the Serenity Prayer. It goes like this. God, grant me the serenity to accept the things I cannot change, courage to change the things I can, and wisdom to know the difference. AA Preamble. Alcoholics Anonymous is a fellowship of people who share their experience, strength, and hope with each other that they may solve their common problem and help others to recover from alcoholism. The only requirement for membership is a desire to stop drinking. There are no dues or fees for AA membership. We're self-supporting through our own contributions. AA is not aligned with any sect, denomination, politics, organization, or institution, does not wish to engage in any controversy, neither endorses nor opposes any causes. Our primary purpose is to stay sober and help other alcoholics to achieve sobriety. And there's a link to the newcomers packet in chat. With that, back to you in the studio, Jann.
Yeah. All right. Oh, thank you. Thanks for the recognition. Keeps the flow going in this meeting. So let's see here. Hey, everybody. Hi. Welcome to Newcomers Slipper Step Workshop. I'm Jann, alcoholic in your chair. So if you're new and you're wondering what kind of meeting this is, exactly what Matt read. So we will take you through the 12-step process of AA and in about a month and a half. And it's a workshop. It's exactly what it is. Now, this is unlike any other AA meeting. So if you happen to come here for the first time, this isn't a speakers meeting. It's not a discussion meeting. It is the only meeting like it in the world. It's a workshop specifically. It's a class. It's AA 101. So you won't find meetings like this anywhere else. So if you're trying to get the AA experience, this probably isn't the best one to do it at. But anyways, we are here. And let's see, hang in here. Okay. Okay, so hey, I was just looking at this. So is Heather here? We're gonna Preston.
No, she's not here today.
Okay, she's not here. And then Jesse, we're gonna do a fifth step with you, right? So you're ready to do that? Okay, good. And then why don't we do
Sam
this?
is also.
Excuse me? Say it.
Sam, yeah, he's also here too.
Oh, Sam was going to do his fifth step too. All right. This is perfect. Well, I think what I'd like to do, see how you like this. What we could do is put the three of you in a breakout room, Preston, and then go through each person with their fifth step. You know how to do that, right?
Yeah, that sounds good.
Are you comfortable with that?
Yeah, absolutely. That's fine.
Okay,
It's still
so
pretty
let's do
early
it.
too, so we have time.
Let's do it. So who's good at breakout rooms? Is that you, Jesse? You want to move everybody? No, you're not. Okay, are you, Preston? You know how to do breakout
Yeah.
rooms? Okay,
Yep, I
move
got you.
Sam and Jesse in there. There goes Sam and there goes Jesse. Maybe. And we're gonna do the fifth step, you guys. Good. So Matt, that leaves just you and I. Two Yankees fan.
Oh. Okay, cool.
And then now you're gonna move yourself, right? If you can do it. Dun, 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 dun. There he goes, he's gone. Okay. Okay, so today, well, they're in a breakout room. They're going to help. They're going to do a fifth step with two guys there, and that's kind of how we do things here. So, and today, I thought what we could do is Lori, what's going on here? Are we supposed to do a fifth step with you? Oh, really? Okay. Da, 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 da. Let's see here. You have to wait. So I'm not going to send you in with those two guys. And trying to think here. Usually we do fifth steps with probably maybe me and Cassie. And
I
then
don't know if I'm supposed to do a fourth or fifth. I've done my fourth, I've written it out.
you okay, then your next is the fifth step.
Okay,
Okay. So remind me tomorrow when you get here. And then we'll set up a fifth step on Zoom with like
okay,
you and I and Cassie, okay?
okay.
That's how we'll do that. I know Stacy's done a bit. I haven't talked to her what other people did. Okay, so let's see. I'm just looking around the room here. Oh, Debbie's here. Hey, Debbie, how's it going? Stacy's here. Oh, Rachel's here. Hi, Rachel. Becca's here. And Harry Berto's here. Jay, 76 days. So, Matt, I have a question for you. Can you look and do a search for, it's called just do a search for the Medical View on AA in the big book and copy and paste the link to that up. It's called
Okay.
the Medical View on AA. And we're going to talk about that, everybody. It's in, let's see here. Put it up to everyone. It's on page 569 in the AA book. Are you able to find it there, Matt? Okay or not? There it
Yeah,
is.
it should. Yeah.
Oh yeah, it's Appendix 3. Okay. Medical View on AA. So everybody turn to that. And then, hey, Jeff, how are you? Are you good? So, hey, Jeff, would you like to read a little today? And so this is what we're going to go over for class today. The Medical View on AA.
Okay, I have it open actually to the fifth step with a medical view. Okay, that would be
On
back
AA,
in
it's
doctor's opinion.
It's 569 in the big book. Are you with me okay?
Yeah, hold on. I'm looking at 5, 6.
You ever read this? Or if not, we can get somebody else to read it.
Okay, hold on. Let me
All right.
I think I have. That's the tradition. I have the third version here. Spiritual experience is 569. So maybe someone else should.
Well, then flip the page. It's called Medical View on AA. You ever read it before?
Yes, I have, but I'm not sure.
It's the next one past what you were. It's the next one past the spiritual experience.
Well, I think mine is different. I have the third edition. here.
Okay, then can you find the medical view
Medical View.
on AA? Look in the contents.
Okay, oh, I hear what you're saying. The religious view, medical view, got it. Learn something every day. Got it. The medical view on AA, Jeff Alcoholic here. Since Dr. Silkworth's first endorsement of Alcoholics Anonymous, medical societies and physicians throughout the world have set their approval upon us. Following are excerpts from the comments of doctors present at the annual meeting of the Medical Society, i.e. this was in 1944. Annual meeting of the Medical Society of the State of New York, where a paper on AA was read. Dear Foster Kennedy, neurologist, this organization of Alcoholics Anonymous calls on two of the greatest reservoirs of power known to man, religion and that instinct for association with one's fellows, the herd instinct. I think our profession must take appreciative cognizance of this great therapeutic weapon. If we do not do so, we shall stand convicted of emotional sterility and of having lost the faith that moves mountains, without which medicine can do little. Dr. G. Collier, a psychiatrist. I have felt that AA is a group up unto themselves, and their best results can be had under their own guidance as a result of their philosophy. Any therapeutic or philosophic procedure which can prove a recovery rate of 50 to 60% must merit our consideration. Dr. Harry M. Tebow, psychiatrist. As a psychiatrist, I have thought a great deal about the relationship of my specialty to AA, and I have come to the conclusion that our particular function can very often lie in preparing the way for the patient to accept any sort of treatment or outside help. I now conceive the psychiatrist's job to be the task of breaking down the patient's inner resistance, so that which is inside him will flower as under the activity of the AA program.
Stop right there.
Okay, sir.
So hey, how about hey Lisa, you want to read? Are you a good reader?
Me, Lisa? Sure. What paragraph? I'm sorry, I looked away.
Next page, Dr. W.W. Bauer. Page 570, or if you have the link there, you can read it from there.
I have Dr. John Stouffer.
Dr. W.W. Bauer. Broadcasting under. No.
Yeah, the paragraph before that.
Oh, okay. Just it started on a different page. Sorry. Dr. W.W. Bauer, broadcasting under the auspice of the American Medical Association in 1946 over the NBC network, said in part, Alcoholics Anonymous are not crusaders, not a temperance society. They know that they must never drink. They help others with similar problems. In this atmosphere, the alcoholic often overcomes his excessive concentration upon himself. Learning to depend upon a higher power and absorb himself in his work with other alcoholics, he remains sober day by day. The days add up into weeks, the weeks into months and years. Dr. John F. Stouffer, chief psychiatrist, Philadelphia General Hospital, citing his experience with AA, said the alcoholics we get here at Philadelphia General are mostly those who cannot afford private treatment, and AA is by far the greatest thing we have been able to offer them. Even among those who occasionally land back in here again, we observe a profound change in personality. You would hardly recognize them. The American Psychiatric Association requested in 1949 that a paper be prepared by one of the older members of Alcoholics Anonymous to be read at the association's annual meeting of that year. This was done, and the paper was printed in the American Journal of Psychiatry for November 1949. This address is now available in pamphlet form at nominal cost through most AA groups or from Box 459, Grand Central Station, New York, New York 10163, under the title Three Talks to Medical Societies by Bill W., formerly called Bill on Alcoholism, and earlier Alcoholism, the Illness. And that's it.
Read the last part in accordance.
Oh, okay. In accordance with the sure, that's really small print. In accordance with an advisory action of the 67th AA General Service Conference, the pamphlet Three Talks to Medical Societies by Bill W. has been retired from publication. Individual copies are available through the archives of the General Service Office.
Okay, so now that thank you both for reading. Now that we're dragging you through this laborious and boring section on alcoholism, the medical view, it's important for us to do that because several reasons. Sometimes people get into this frame of mind that AA, like what's his name was saying there from Utah, you know, he's going to meetings where they're pushing a certain religion on you. That just isn't the case with AA, and that's not what they set out to do, as Jay was trying to point out. What's going to fit for me? But so we're going to continue here with the medical part, and I want you to turn to page XXV in your big book. It's called The Doctor's Opinion. Excuse me if I have hiccups. I have some acid reflux here. Matt, if you can put up the link to The Doctor's Opinion, please. I think you might have that. So everybody turn to The Doctor's Opinion on XXV. And who wants to start reading? Hey, Rebecca, you want to start?
Hi, I'm Rebecca, alcoholic. The doctor's opinion. We of Alcoholics Anonymous believe that the reader will be interested in the medical estimate of the plan of recovery described in this book. Convincing testimony must surely come from medical men who have had experience with the sufferings of our members and have witnessed our return to health. A well-known doctor, chief physician at a nationally prominent hospital specialized in alcoholic and drug addiction, gave Alcoholics Anonymous this letter. To whom it may concern, I have specialized in the treatment of alcoholism for many years. In late 1934, I attended a patient who, though he had been a competent businessman of good earning capacity, was an alcoholic of a type I had come to regard as hopeless. In the course of his third treatment, he acquired certain ideas concerning a possible means of recovery. As part of his rehabilitation, he commenced to present his conceptions to other alcoholics, impressing upon them that they must do likewise with still others. This has become the basis of a rapidly growing fellowship of these men and their families. This man and over 100 others appear to have recovered. I personally know scores of cases who were of this type, with whom other methods had failed completely. These facts appear to be of extreme medical importance because of the extraordinary possibilities of rapid growth inherent in this group. They may mark a new epoch in the annals of alcoholism. These men may well have remedy for thousands of such situations. You may rely absolutely on anything they say about themselves. Very truly yours, William D. Silkworth, MD.
Okay, stop right there. And then, hey, Lori, you want to read? You're next. Lori with 16 years. Jann to Lori.
Lori, alcoholic.
Yep.
Okay, the physician who at our request gave us this letter has been kind enough to enlarge upon his views in another statement which follows. In this statement, he confirms that we who have suffered alcoholic torture must believe that the body of the alcoholic is quite as abnormal as his mind. It did not satisfy us to be told that we could not control our drinking just because we were maladjusted to life, that we were in full flight from reality or were outright mental defectives. These things were true to some extent, in fact, to a considerable extent with some of us. But we are sure that our bodies were sickened as well. In our belief, any picture of the alcoholic which leaves out his physical factor is incomplete. The doctor's theory that we have an allergy to alcohol interests us. As laymen, our opinion as to its soundness may of course mean little, but as ex-problem drinkers, we can say that his explanation makes good sense. It explains many things for which we cannot otherwise account. Though we work out our solution on the spiritual as well as an altruistic plane, we favor hospitalization for the alcoholic who is very jittery or befogged. More often than not, he is imperative that a man's brain be cleared before he is approached, as he has then a better chance of understanding and accepting what we have to offer. The doctor writes, the subject presented in this book seems to me to be of paramount importance to those afflicted with alcoholic addiction. I say this after many years' experience as medical director of one of the oldest hospitals in the country treating alcoholic and drug addiction. There was therefore a sense of real satisfaction when I was asked to contribute a few words on a subject which is covered in such masterly detail in these pages. We doctors have realized for a long time that some form of moral psychology was of urgent importance to alcoholics, but its application presented difficulties beyond our conception. What with our ultra-modern standards, our scientific approach to everything, we are perhaps not well equipped to apply the powers of good that lie outside our synthetic knowledge. Many years, one of the leading contributors to this book came under our care in this hospital, and while here, he acquired some ideas which he put into practical application at once. Later, he requested the privilege of being allowed to tell his story to other patients here, and with some misgiving, we consented. The cases we have followed through have been most interesting. In fact, many of them are amazing. The unselfishness of these men, as we have come to know them, the entire absence of profit motive, and their community spirit is indeed inspiring to one who has labored long and wearily in this alcoholic field. They believe in themselves and still more in the power which pulls chronic alcoholics back from the gates of death.
Okay,
Of course-
stop right there. Stop right there. Okay, so over to hey, Debbie, how about you? You want to read? Are you a good reader?
Yep.
Okay.
Of course, Debbie alcoholic, by the way. Of course, an alcoholic ought to be freed from his physical craving for liquor, and this often requires a definite hospital procedure before psychological measures can be of maximum benefit. We believe, and so suggested a few years ago, that the action of alcohol on these chronic alcoholics is a manifestation of an allergy, that the phenomenon of craving is limited to this class and never occurs in the average temperate drinker. These allergic types can never safely use alcohol in any form at all, and once having formed the habit and found they cannot break it, once having lost their self-confidence, the reliance upon things human, their problems pile up on them and become astonishingly difficult to solve. Frothy emotional appeal seldom suffices. The message which can interest and hold these alcoholic people must have depth and weight. In nearly all cases, their ideals must be grounded in a power greater than themselves if they are to recreate their lives. If any feel that a psychiatrist directing a hospital for alcoholics, we appear somewhat sentimental, let them stand with us a while on the firing line. See the tragedies, the despairing wives, the little children. Let the solving of these problems become a part of their daily work and even of their sleeping moments. And the most cynical will not wonder what we have accepted and encouraged this movement. We feel after many years of experience that we have found nothing which has contributed more to the rehabilitation of these men than the altruistic movement now growing among them. Men and women drink essentially because they like the effect produced by alcohol. The sensation is so elusive that while they admit it is injurious, they cannot after time differentiate the true from the false. To them, their alcoholic life seems the only normal one. They are restless, irritable, and discontented unless they can gain experience, if they can again experience the ease and comfort which comes at once by taking a few drinks which they see others taking with impunity. After they have succumbed to the desire again, as so many do, the phenomenon of craving develops. They pass through the well-known stages of a spree, emergent remorsefulness with a firm resolution not to drink again. This is repeated over and over, and unless this person can experience an entire psychic change, there is very little hope of recovery.
All right, stop right there. And Matt, over to you. You want to pick it up? Thanks, Steph.
Sure. On the other hand, and strange as this may seem to those who do not understand, once a psychic change has occurred, the very same person who seemed doomed, who had so many problems he despaired of ever solving them, suddenly finds himself easily able to control his desire for alcohol, the only effort necessary being that required to follow a few simple rules. Men have cried out to me in sincere and despairing appeal, "Doctor, I cannot go on like this. I have everything to live for. I must stop, but I cannot. You must help me." Faced with this problem, if a doctor is honest with himself, he must sometimes feel his own inadequacy. Although he gives all that is in him, it is often not enough. One feels that something more than human power is needed to produce the essential psychic change. Though the aggregate of recoveries resulting from psychiatric effort is considerable, we physicians must admit we have made little impression upon the problem as a whole. Many types do not respond to the ordinary psychological approach. I do not hold with those who believe that alcoholism is entirely a problem of mental control. I have had many men who had, for example, worked a period of months on some problem or business deal, which was to be settled on a certain date, favorably to them. They took a drink a day or so prior to the date, and then the phenomenon of craving at once became paramount to all other interests, so that the important appointment was not met. These men were not drinking to escape, they were drinking to overcome a craving beyond their mental control. There are many situations which arise out of the phenomenon of craving which cause men to make the supreme sacrifice rather than continue the fight. The classification of alcoholics seems most difficult and in much detail is outside the scope of this book. There are, of course, the psychopaths who are emotionally unstable. We are all familiar with this type. They are always going on the wagon for keeps. They are over remorseful and make many resolutions, but never a decision. There is the type of man who is unwilling to admit that he cannot take a drink. He plans various ways of drinking. He changes his brand or his environment. There is the type who always believes that after being entirely free from alcohol for a period of time, he can take a drink without danger. There is the manic depressive type, who is perhaps the least understood by his friends and about whom a whole chapter could be written. Then there are types entirely normal in every respect except in the effect alcohol has upon them. They are often able, intelligent, friendly people. All these and many others have one symptom in common. They cannot start drinking without developing the phenomenon of craving. This phenomenon, as we have suggested, may be the manifestation of an allergy, which differentiates these people and sets them apart as a distinct entity. It has never been, by any treatment with which we are familiar, permanently eradicated. The only relief we have to suggest is entire abstinence. This immediately precipitates us into a seething cauldron of debate. Much has been written pro and con, but among physicians, the general opinion seems to be that most chronic alcoholics are doomed. What is the solution? Perhaps I can best answer this by relating one of my experiences. About 1 year prior to this experience, a man was brought in to be treated for chronic alcoholism. He had been partially recovered from a gastric hemorrhage and seemed to be a case of pathological mental deterioration. He had lost everything worthwhile in life and was only living, one might say, to drink. He frankly admitted and believed that for him there was no hope. Following the elimination of alcohol, there was found to be no permanent brain injury. He accepted the plan outlined in this book. 1 year later, he called to see me, and I experienced a very strange sensation. I knew the man by name and partly recognized his features, but there all resemblance ended. From a trembling, despairing, nervous wreck had emerged a man brimming over with self-reliance and contentment. I talked with him for some time, but was not able to bring myself to feel that I had known him before. To me, he was a stranger, and so he left me. A long time had passed with no return to alcohol. When I need a mental uplift, I often think of another case brought in by a physician prominent in New York. The patient had made his own diagnosis and, deciding his situation hopeless, had hidden in a deserted barn, determined to die. He was rescued by a searching party and in desperate condition brought to me. Following his physical rehabilitation, he had a talk with me in which he frankly stated he thought the treatment was a waste of effort, unless I could assure him, which no one ever had, that in the future he would have the willpower to resist the impulse to drink. His alcoholic problem was so complex and his depression so great that we felt his only hope would be through what we then called moral psychology, and we doubted if it would have even any effect. However, he did become sold on the ideas contained in this book. He has not had a drink for a great many years. I see him now and then, and he is a fine specimen of manhood, as one who wished to meet. I earnestly advise every alcoholic to read this book through, and though perhaps he came to scoff, he may remain to pray. William D. Silkworth, MD.
Oh, thank you, Matt. So there you have it. That's the story on the medical view of AA. Pretty dramatic, huh? Jann, alcoholic. So sometimes, we get caught up in the steps, or we get caught up in all sorts of things in AA. There's the discussion of God and he can do and all of that. But then we, hear from 4 or 5 doctors in this reading, and they kind of lay it out for us, And the good thing is that we have this meeting. In fact, there are AA meetings all over the world, 24/7. You can get on a Zoom meeting any time of the day or night and get the basic program. And they seem to, the determination by these doctors is that you need a support group like AA in order to stay sober long term. That seems to be it. Being around other alcoholics who share their what's called their experience, strength, and hope. So anyways, that's that. We're going to put this up in the podcast too, but we can go around the room and discuss this. So let's start with Jeff. Jeff, what were your takeaways on all the readings we just had here today on the medical? Yeah.
Jeff, alcoholic. Yeah, it really nails it. The idea that if you think you can stay away from alcohol for a while, that when you pick up, the next time will be different. I tried that, and I can tell you the disaster it is. But I didn't know why it was a disaster, or why the disaster was happening the way it was, and was always going to happen, until I came into AA and I read this, and I started going through the program and the steps. Had no clue as to why I was doing these things, and yet I did them for 25 years.
All right, thank you. How about you, Rebecca? What did you think of what we just read about the medical view?
Oh my God, each paragraph is incredible. What was interesting was the gentleman who had a kind of business deal happening in a month or so, and he said, "Oh, I'll have a drink the day before," and thinking it would make him feel good, and then of course in the end it doesn't, and he just kept going, and no control. Very, very, very paramount. And you know, I worked in a psychiatric hospital for many years, and you know, there was we didn't have AA, which would have been so great on those units, because there were many men, you know, who were homeless and sick, and a little bit washy in the brain from it, and definitely could have used that, but again, it wasn't in that system.
All right, perfect. How about you, Rachel? In Australia, what did you think? How did you like today's?
Yeah, I really like it. I think it supports understanding that it is an illness and that, to Jeff's point, it's not something that goes away. Thinking about it, you know, through the lens of an illness, and you know, outside of alcoholism, if you had a fatal disease, you would do everything you could to overcome that and make things right. But I think with alcohol, you're right. It just sends a really clear and explains why you can't. And abstinence is really the only thing that works.
All right, perfect. Thank you. How about you, Debbie?
I'll keep this short.
Sure.
Debbie alcoholic, but the one thing that speaks to me the most is when he talks about taking that first drink and then the craving starts. And that is me. That is me. If I can stay away from that first drink, fine. If I have one, I'm going to drink until, you know, I have to go to bed.
Yeah, he really describes that there, doesn't he? How about you, Stacy?
For me, like I remember when I first read this the first time, the part where he says the manic depressive, which could have their own chapter because that's essentially bipolar and that's what I am. And that really, I mean, I'm in treatment for that, you know, still today. And this is just something that goes along with that to me. This is part of therapy for me, following these steps and doing that, you know, it's right up there with my other doctors I go to.
All right, good, excellent. Let's see, Lisa, how about you?
I guess for me, it just finally made sense because I remember just looking at some of my friends and saying, why do I feel so much differently than they do, or why can they stop and I can't? And you know, finally putting a rhyme and a reason together and realizing that this is the cravings mean something different to me than they do to my friends, and I have to treat it differently as if I would any other disease or anything else. It just made sense to me. So I liked seeing that, you know, I have to handle this a little bit differently than other people, like I would any other medical condition kind of thing.
Yeah, we've been reading about the medical opinion on alcoholism today, and I never really thought about the medical condition that this phenomena of craving would start. But if I looked at my drinking, I just drank every day, not necessarily because I wanted to. It's because it just took me over. How about you, Matt?
Yes, very similar to what you just said, actually. I mean, aside from the craving, there's also that section, you know, for an alcoholic, the life seems like the only normal one. And you're sort of restless, irritable, and discontented unless you can go and get your, you know, get that feeling back. So it's when you're not drinking, is the abnormal side. And then when you're drinking becomes the normal.
I always wanted, if I could just maintain that feeling I had with a half a drink or one drink or two, but then it would be like, oh no, no, we're drinking more and more, and I'm like, oh no, it's all going south. How about you, Lori?
And I found this really interesting. I always thought that all the crap that goes on in your life, you know, it's going to drive you to drink. But this points out that that's not the case. It's that even if life is going along smoothly, you still can't take that drink because that first drink is going to set you off in that craving. And it made me understand more about binge drinkers, because I couldn't understand how they could not drink, but I guess they don't have that craving until they take that first drink, whereas I had that craving all the time. So I found this really interesting.
I distinctly remember where I went from a person who rarely drank and then would go out after work or during work with the people I worked with and then drink every day, thinking that, boy, I wonder if I'm going to become addicted to this. And then walking down the street, not having had a drink all day with a group of people from work, and I dashed into a bar. This was in London, and did exactly what Bill Wilson talked about, pounded on the on the bar, demanding a drink, shooting it down, and then running out to catch up with my group that was going to a meeting. And somebody said, "Oh, where'd you come from?" I said, "Oh, I just had to stop in that bar." And they said, "You just stopped in a bar?" And I was like, "Yeah, but no big deal." I said, "Oh, did you have to use a men's room or something?" I said, "Yeah." So, well, that was quick. And then I knew I could not make it through an afternoon without a drink. I had to have it. And I remember thinking, oh, Jesus, I am in so much trouble. And then, of course, you know what happened? It got worse from there. Jay in Utah, how did you like what we read today?
We had a
I
very
would,
great session. I enjoyed what we read and stuff. Um, what that guy was going through, it just makes me feel like I'm not alone in my thoughts and how I feel and with my drinking and stuff and not going back. It's nice.
and do you have a big book?
Yes, I do have the big book.
Okay, cool. So you're welcome to come to this meeting every day. Come every day. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Come every day for 5 days if you want to. See how you like it. Let's go to Denise and Yuma. What did you get out of this?
What'd you get out of it?
What did I get out of it? I
Yep.
got one drink will set you off. That's what I got out of it.
Okay, good. Thank you. Let's go to Lori. Hey, Lori, how about you?
Yeah, it kind of hit home a lot for me. I I've had moments of sobriety, um, short-lived, always with the mentality that, somehow that would reset, and next time I would be smarter and more disciplined. And I I finally have had to come to the understanding with myself that I am an alcoholic, that I cannot take that one drink because I always know the fast forward end result of what's going to happen with that.
Hang on. Thank you. That's perfect right there. How about you, Harry Berto? What did you get out of this?
Yeah, I guess it's true, man. Even if people could say, "Oh, I'm gonna limit myself. I'm only gonna drink 2," you end up drinking 22. And I know because it happened to me. I ended up in the hospital. I almost died. I mean, yeah, it got to the point where I was shaking and sweating, and I came close to dying right in front of my brother. I mean, it was crazy. Yeah.
And here you are. Okay, good. Thank you. That's perfect. And hey, Robert, how about you? What'd you get out of this? The medical view on alcoholism and the doctor's opinion. Jann to Robert. And how about you, Juliana, what did you get? What did you get out of this?
Sorry about that, Jan Dog. I was pulling up. It's funny that brought up, but yeah, a gentleman one of my sponsees just called me and he asked me that exact question. And I explained to him the reason why we can't drink. There's a reason why there's a hyphen in the first step. But anyways, me and him going to talk more about that later when we see each other.
Did you did you listen to what we were reading today on the medical view?
Yes, sir.
So what stood out for you?
Just the fact of phenomenal craving. And once I take that first drink, and then I set off just like it says in the doctor's opinion.
Amazing,
It's
isn't
that-
it, how that goes? How about you, Juliana? Go ahead. You're next. And last but not least.
I definitely hear myself in all of that.
The medical view.
Yeah,
Yeah. Were you listening?
I was.
Following along?
Yeah, I was.
Pretty serious
Yes.
business, isn't it? All right. Okay, good. Thank
Yeah.
you. All right. Matt, you want to read the promises? Over to you.
Yep,
Thank you,
these are,
everybody. Excellent job.
these are the promises on page 83 of the big book. We are painstaking about this phase of our development. We'll be amazed before we're halfway through. We're going to know a new freedom and a new happiness. We'll not regret the past nor wish to shut the door on it. We'll comprehend the word serenity and we will know peace. No matter how far down the scale we have gone, we'll see how our experience can benefit others. That feeling of uselessness and self pity will disappear. We'll lose interest in selfish things and gain interest in our fellows. Self seeking will slip away. Our whole attitude and outlook upon life will change. Fear of people and of economic insecurity will leave us. We'll intuitively know how to handle situations which used to baffle us. We'll suddenly realize that God is doing for us what we could not do for ourselves. Are these extravagant promises? We think not. They're being fulfilled among us, sometimes quickly, sometimes slowly. They'll always materialize if we work for them. Back to you, Jann, the studio.
Okay, thank you. So we read the medical view on alcoholism and the doctor's opinion, and all of the doctors recommend that their patients go to Alcoholics Anonymous. One is, in the short term, it's one alcoholic helping another. In the long term, it's having a long support system that is free, that is age old, is the oldest and most successful in the world. And the doctors come right out and say that. We'll end with the serenity prayer. It goes like this: God, grant me the serenity to accept the things cannot change, courage to change the things we can, and the wisdom to know the difference. This meeting is over, and we're here every single day. Same bat time, same